is moving. There's a greenhouse effect. The planet is warming up, and European people have to get off the surface of the planet. They have to go underground, and they're trying to build everything. First, they tried to go out. They found out that life existed on Mars, but they couldn't exist there because of certain ammonia that they would make it impossible for them to survive. So now they're back to building underground. They linked up Europe. They had to get a one world system so that all Europeans will be in tune, because those that are not in tune will do the thing, like I explained many times, that Hagar used when she went in the wilderness. She said El Roy, which was enough but saying I'm El Ra. She didn't say Ammon because Ammon was a certain people that she didn't belong to. It's another story. All right, so the promise is being fulfilled for us, that the time for the devil is ending. The fire is pouring down out of the sky.
It's happening now.
It's happening to them right now.
Yeah.
It's giving them skin cancer. Each year they're told you can't go to the beaches. They love beaches. Beaches are a symbol of nudity to them. And the word nude is short for Nod, the land of Nod. In Hebrew we don't say Nod, we say nude. Now they're pushing for nudity beaches, and it's amazing because they're pushing for nudity beaches, but they can't go to the beach. So they must be pushing for nudity beaches for you and I. Because it says, oh, children of Adam, don't let the devil seduce you and take off your clothes. So he can't be making nudity beaches for Europeans because they can't go to the beach no more. They're telling them stay off the beaches. Where they're not getting burnt, they're poisoning the water. There's fires all across the country, floods all across the country. All this is done by the Illuminati. They're trying to destroy the surface of the planet so that we will have to go underground with them. Do you understand that? They're at a point now where
we don't have to go. I mean, we're not going to go.
It depends. It depends on if it depends on if you're prepared or not.
Okay.
You've got to be prepared, because regardless of how close the sun becomes to the planet Earth, it will not have any effect on us.
I mean, but do we have to prepare ourselves just as individuals?
No, we have to prepare ourselves as a body. That is our problem. We keep on breaking up into individuals and divided. We have no power. We're the only people that disunited amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
We get broken down all the way down into Jehovah's Witnesses and Seventh-day Adventists and Sunni Muslims and Ansars. We're broken up into all kind of little stupid splinter groups. There's Egyptologists over here. Dr. Ben is on this side, and Clark is on this side, and Siraj Wahaj is over here, and Muhammad Al-Amin is in and Farrakhan is over here, and Wardi's over here, and that's just in the Islamic world. Then when you get into the Hebrew world, you got Ben Amin Carter, Yahweh Ben Yahweh over here, Rabbi Jeremiah over here, Rabbi Matthews over here, and that's in the black so-called Jewish section. Then when you get into Christianity, you got Seventh-day Adventists, Pentecostals, Episcopalians, Protestants, Baptists, Lutherans, Catholics, and all of this has been set up to divide us in mind. Because the power of us coming together mentally can affect the world. The whole thing is to keep us divided in mind, right? Because of this day and time. The devil's time is at its expiration date. It's fulfilling its prophecy. It's 6,000 years that's coming to an end. Now what he has to do is get off of the surface of the planet. If you would just be patient, he'll have to leave. He can't reverse the greenhouse effect. He cannot push the sun away. He cannot reverse the destruction of the ozone layer. He can't stop that. It's not bothering you. He's convincing you that it's bothering you. He's trying to tell you, you better not go to the beach, because if you go to the beach, you're going to catch skin cancer. What's wrong with you? You was born on the beach. What do you think Ethiopia is? What do you think Sudan is? 130, 110, 115 degrees all year round. You follow that?
Yeah.
So we are waiting. I am waiting for the sun. I raise my hands to Amun-Ra and say, come closer to the earth. Because the closer he gets, the faster he gets, the quicker they have to go underground. And what they're trying to do now is they're trying to destroy the surface of the planet. So they're poisoning the water so we'll have no fish.
I'm telling you.
They're burning all the forests so all the livestock is gone. They've corrupted all the farmland. And then they're destroying all the countries that oppose them where we might take refuge. You follow that? All the Middle East is being wiped out. All of Sudan, Ethiopia, Somalia. Don't fall for that Somali lift. That Somali lift was a result of the fact that they looked on television and saw them camps in Russia, and they saw them Amorites starving over there, so they had to get food over there. And one day, it took them to close all them camps in Russia and bring food, and because the public's eye was on it, they sent a couple of bags of bean to Ethiopia so it looked like a balance for the UN. In actuality, they're not least concerned. Part of the plot is to destroy all of what's called Africa, either by AIDS, famine, You follow diseases, they're going to wipe it out. Because they have to go, like the Quran taught, back in the caves. You follow that? They have no choice. They build these high rises and these condominiums. All of the so-called Europeans who live on the southern part of this country are now moving north.
So they're going to eventually leave out of South Africa?
They have to. They have to leave out of South Africa, but it's going to be in such a bad state, there's nothing we can do with it anyway. They gave the land to these Amorites. They didn't have to. They could have taken, and they didn't have to leave Nelson Mandela in jail for 26 years. So they wanted him in there until they lobotomized him and used him as a tool. But let me get back to where we at. People ask me all the time about South Africa. I'm not in South Africa.
Yeah, we're right here.
We're right here, and we got problems that we better get straight. We better start worrying about what's happening with us here, and we're running out of time, and they're making more demands. The reason why you see them trying to renovate your neighborhoods and buy up your neighborhoods is because they have to get out of the South. You understand that? They got to leave Georgia. They got to leave Florida. They got to leave South Carolina, and they'll have to live from the upper part of North Carolina up where the weather is controllable until they can go underground. So now you drive all up in these mountains, and all you see is Florida plates and all old Jews walking around up here because they're trying to find places up here, up in Canada. That's their refuge. So there's many times they try to put a community in Canada, they couldn't get it established. We have a problem with Syracuse, with Buffalo, all up there. And it dawned on me, because we have to get out of here and go south. Why do we have to go south? And why do we have to go to an area south where it's open and not mountainous? Because that's where he can't come. He cannot chase you where he cannot go. You follow that? So long as we're up in a mountain area, he can come up here. But when we get down in an area where it's flat and open plains and the temperatures range in the hundreds, we don't have to worry about him coming down there, because as the sun gets closer, he will not be able to survive. It would be suicide for him to pursue us in an environment where nature is fighting against him. You understand what I'm trying to say? Yeah. This is the day and time we are now for the people that say, why are we leaving Mount Zion and going south? Because we're passing him on the road. And let the fools come this way, and we'll go that way where he can't come. But we're going to have to learn how to survive down there, because you forgot how to be sun people. And that's one of the main reasons why I said stop the perms and the jerry curls and all that crap, because you can't afford it and you won't have access to it. Do you follow what I'm trying to say? And I didn't say go back to Afro, because Afro described one hairstyle. One hairstyle. And I heard somebody say just yesterday, if they were to bring that hairstyle up to today, instead of us being called Afro-Americans, we would have to be called Jerry Curl Americans, or Extension Americans, or Perm Americans, because Afro is just a hairstyle, and the word Afro don't apply to us. We are not Africans. And I say that to say nobody is African. There is no such thing as an African. The word African means Ifriqiya, to divide us up into pieces. We are Ethiopians, we are Egyptians, we are Cushites, Hamites, Shemites. We are not Africans. You follow that? We have broken up into families, became known as Ashanti, we became known as Mandingans, we got set up with Igbo, we became many different names. But when you get past all those tribal names and get down to it, we are the Shemites and not Semites. They could be they could be Semites, we're Shemites. You follow? So we have to prepare ourselves for this hour in time. And the sun is on our side. Nature is on your side. But he is destroying the planet intentionally with all kind of earthquakes. And right now, if you look on the news, there's fires in Florida, there's fires in California, there's fire. He's burning up all the forests. When you burn the forests, you're chasing the animals. If he's burning the forests down there, which direction is he chasing the animals? If he's poisoning all the waters on the seacoast of Florida, where is he chasing all the fish? Now, why would he chase the fish and the animals up here? Huh? Because he's going to be living up here. So the best way for me to chase you is to light a fire. I light a fire on this side, I can guarantee that whatever's on that side is going to run in that direction. So if you monitor them fires start off the coast of Florida, and they're moving all up. Now they're talking about South Carolina, all on the coast of South Carolina. They can't get inland. So what you do is go inland, stay off the coast. You follow that? And all the animals will run inland and north. And there you'll set up your colonies for survival. You follow that?
We're going on.
Will it be planting food and stuff like that?
Or starve. One or the other. Won't be no AMP.
It won't be no AMP, right?
It's not for us.
That's why I'm with it.
Yeah, my name is Tahida, and is there a brand equivalent for that name?
For Tawhida? Not like that. You know, that the word Ahad, right? Ahad and Ahada is the same as Ahad, right? And Tawheed, but see, Tawheed is a created word. The reason why I say it's a created word because it's used in Islam. And Islam claims to come out of the Quran, correct? That when Muhammad received the Quran, that's when they formulated the system of Islamic teaching. And they corrected this divine language in which this scripture was sent down. You follow me? However, the name Tawheed is nowhere in the Quran, which meant that after the Quran was completed, then men looked in the Quran when they were setting up grammars and stuff and created words from words. So in Arabic language, yeah, Tawheed is a word, but it's not a Quranic word. It's a word that they've made from the word Wahid. You follow? Yeah.
I would like to ask a question. The importance of coming into the tabernacle. Those that want to come in and were rejected because of medical reasons. I'm not speaking about contagious disease. What happens to those people?
I can't speak for those people because that's the day and time we're in. We're in a strange day and time. And that is that we have evoluted ourselves from pure mental, right? We had a perfect ether and a bashar. We have evoluted into some new being. I don't mean Nubian, I mean some new kind of being that's not in tune with the original self. You know, we're radical, we're unpredictable, we think a lot like the enemy.
Yeah.
We're self-destructive, we're uncooperative, and up in the most, we're disagreeable. So we have subject ourselves to a lot of stuff that has changed us. So it's hard to look in the eyes of a Nubian person and know what you're looking at now. You follow?
Ya Shalom.
Shalom.
I'm a part of the Kushite Coptic Hebrew, and we wrote you several letters, and we didn't hear any response, but we read in your bulletin, which you did right, and we'd like to know, well, why didn't we hear any response to you first?
So many people are trying to match what I'm teaching, not necessarily you. And oftentimes, they really would like to know what they're talking about, but they don't. You know, they say, I'm fluent in Amharic. And they make a statement like, Haile Selassie means this. And I look and say, that's not what it means in Amharic. It might mean something in modern translation that has eased its way into Ethiopia today, but that's not what it means in ancient Giza. Or they'll say in the scripture, this person is this, and that's not who that person is. They're reading English translations or Amharic translations from English. So understand, the devil has ran way up ahead of y'all in the early 19th century, the 1910, 11, and 12, and started translating all the scriptures into French out of a land in French called Bukhara. And then translated from that into Arabic. So the Arabic Bibles you got are originally translated from French, not from the original. The Amharic Bibles you're getting are not from, and Haile Selassie and people like himself were sellouts to Ethiopia. They were not for Ethiopia. He was a sellout. He was a Christian, a Coptic Christian. You cannot be a Christian and be of the pure seed of the house of Judah. You can only be of the pure seed of the house of Judah. And you can read it. If you read the book of the prophet, who they call him a prophet, they call, say, Nubia in Hebrew, and it means a prophesier as opposed to a Nibah, which is a prophet, and it's called Malachi. Malachi means in Hebrew, my angel. They say messenger, so they don't want to translate that. If you read that, you'll see how they address false Kohen. They call them false priests. People who are perverting the law, who don't keep the sacrifices and don't know how to do this and don't know how to do that. It's only 4 chapters, but it's the last of the 12. They have the 12 of the 21 in the Tanakh. 12 of the 21, which is supposed to be the 12 minor prophets. And the 12 minor prophets, they are there to explain to us where errors went wrong. And the last one, the most powerful, is Malachi. And he predicts all the future events. Certain people would love for, let's say, Elijah Muhammad to be Elijah. Other people would love for Haile Selassie to be the Lion of Judah. There just wasn't it. They never did anything that rendered them it. Their congregations are desperate for a person to hug, so they create an aura around a person that I met Haile Selassie personally. Right? He never saw himself as Jesus. Of course, we could say after that, well, of course, Jesus would say he's not Jesus. Then if we say, you know, if I say to you, are you Jesus? And you say no. I say, okay, only Jesus would say he's not Jesus. Then I say, well, okay, then I am Jesus. Then you say, I told you he's Jesus. Haile Selassie never subscribed to Jesus. Haile Selassie was educated in France. He was not a direct descendant from Solomon. And if he was a direct descendant of Solomon, which I pointed out in our bulletin, it's still not good enough for us because his father and him both married Hittite women. They married the cursed seed of the Canaan, of which Abraham, who was our father, and the shield falls under Abraham, not David. That's another thing I read. They mentioned the shield of David. Morgan David is not Morgan Abraham. If you look in the 15th chapter, in the first verse, Bereshit, where they refer to as Genesis, the shield is Abraham's shield. That is the star we wear. The shield of, it's called Morgan Abraham. And he says, the Lord said, I am your shield, Abraham. They're following a different star, interlock star, which is a symbol of Satan. It has nothing to do with the star that we're following. So what it is I addressed it like I read the pamphlets, I looked at them, I saw pictures from our books in it, I saw information what was wrong on Haile Selassie, so I said, I'm writing a book about Haile Selassie anyway. Not so much about Haile Selassie as the character, but as one of the characters in our Ethiopian life, because we are the original Ethiopian people. Sudanese are Ethiopians, whether they want to accept it or not. And Ethiopians are Cushites, and Cushites all come under Ham and Shem, right, which are the sons of Noh. So what I did is I addressed it subtly instead of opening like I usually do. What I usually do when someone writes me and says, you're wrong, you think you know what you're talking about, then I usually go, so you want to play games? And I write a whole book about them. That's my way of saying, don't play with me. I'm not the same thing you are. I'm not some person who just pops up with a little information, you know, and is trying to get a congregation. I say that to the 5%ers. I say that to Farrakhan. I say that to the Sunni Muslims. This is a different level of information that we're coming from. And so what happened is I addressed it subtly the same way I did when the Sunnis first wrote about me. I put out a couple of little leaflets, and then I said, you understand what I can do, and I left it alone. And then they came back with a cult book, and I said, okay, so you want to fight? I don't want to fight, because this is going to be Cushite on Cushite, but being you want to play, let's dance. And, you know what I'm saying? But the time I wasted, you know, researching the Quran and showing them their errors, I could have spent raising the nation. And then I got sidetracked because I was on a Jesus Christ mission at the time, writing a series of books about who is Jesus' father. I was, you know, trying to get that spell of the ghost, the ghost spell out of our heads. And I got sidetracked by my own people. And I got there. When I got there, I met the 5%ers, and then I got sidetracked by the 5%ers. And I'm like back on mainstream. And I said, is this another? When I got to that stuff, I said, is this going to be another sidetrack? I'm going to have to stand here and badger more of my own people. So I said, let me just write about it, right? And left it on. I have a whole book on Ethiopia and the history of the line of descendancy of Judah, where they went, who they are, documented facts, not hypothetics. Shur was a land. He was not from Shur. He migrated to Shur. He was raised in a Gorak, another whole province in Ethiopia. Moved there, and the land was established by a descendant, and it wasn't Menelik. It's a whole big thing that they play games with people. When he went to Jamaica, for instance, he didn't respect the Rastafarians. He was very disrespectful. Haile Selassie did not acknowledge their presence at all. He visited the temple because he was forced to, but he didn't respect them. In Ethiopia, he was overthrowing the country. He brought Christianity into Ethiopia. The man who ruled Ethiopia before him was a Muslim, but he was not a Muslim. So they say Muslim, and they try to make it sound like he was an Arab Muslim. He was not. He was a Sudanese Muslim who believed in the Torah and lived like we do as Islamic Hebrews. But they eliminated him to put Haile Selassie in so that they could bring Christianity in. And I'll tell you why. Because they're trying to find the Ark of the Covenant. This is what they want to get their hands on. They've made a movie about it, Raiders of the Lost Ark, because they know the power of the cherubim that El Elo Yahweh channels. He controls both Elohims, the Elohims that are good and the Elohims that are bad, which they don't say good and bad in Hebrew. We use the word Tov and Ra, which is agreeable and disagreeable. Those disagreeable and agreeable Elohims. And the disagreeable ones are the ones that have the wings symbolic, right? They protect the Ark of the Covenant that we as Beni Israel. When he say Beni Israel, you're including Ishmaelites. Ishmaelites, Muslims may think they're in another religion, but they're nothing but a 5% branch off from Israel. We are Ishmaelites. We are Midianites. We are Jacob's sons. But Esau is also us. So the Edomites are us. But they laid their mountains to waste because they maliciously went out and married Hittites. Maliciously, Yitzhak or Esau went out to marry Hittite women to get even because he lost the blessing. There's no such word as birthright in the Torah. It's not in there. The word is blessing. The word is buroka. And it means the blessing. And that blessing was money. This is what the problem was. It wasn't about nothing spiritual. It was about money. And when Jacob got the money, Yitzhak was mad and went back to his father and said, could you give me a little money? That's the Hebrew understanding from Aramaic. But in the Christian Bible, you're going to get lost because they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, so that's why we came here.
Yes.
We came here because I want to get together with you and put out some stuff to a lot of the Rastafarians because I bear witness to your doctrine in entirety. So it wasn't a matter of we trying to fight off your doctrine.
Trying to work together.
But trying to hook up because some of the same things you're talking about now about Ethiopia, about the sun, and even etymology.
The 9 ether.
Yeah, 9 ether, number 9 also we've been saying for a long time.
Nuwapo. You know about Nuwapo and all those?
Yeah.
Those are the ancient sciences.
I heard a tape about the Beni Elohim, the Elohim.
You are Elohim. Believe it. And the Elohim that sits here are both good and bad, or simply agreeable and disagreeable. That's us. You know what I'm saying? And he is El. El is the, Elohim is the plural of it. You see that? El, Elohim. You are. That's why Yeshua said, is it not written in your law? He was saying, but notice he said, is it not written in your law? Because he was taking them back to Tiflin. The Tiflin is called what you refer to as the Psalms, the songs. And what they would do, let me just want to finish, they would sing a song. The whole congregation would sing. And this will also address this young lady's question. They would sing the song of praise, and at the end of the song, they would say,